Hey everybody, this is Heather and
Natalie.
And we are going to be your hosts for the weekly Findability Tips session, kind of like coffee talk with Natalie and Heather.
Yep, or today caffeine talk, as I like to think of it, since we sprung forward this morning.
Oh yes, that's
and
right.
Everybody's about an hour behind, including me, so
these weekly Findability chats, if you will, are going to be based off the Findability Formula book, and we have all these great tips in the book, and we never get to share them.
Right.
And I feel pretty bad because I spend all this time on social media
Yeah.
posting testimonials and we never really give back.
Which is true.
So I'd like these sessions to be really where we share some tidbits, 2 to 3 minutes, about what we're up to, and I thought we'd talk about Twitter today.
Great.
What are some of the strategies that you've seen have worked really well for clients with Twitter?
Sure. Well, Twitter is one of the most contested platforms because nobody really knows what to make of it. It's 140 characters. You type it in, which is about a sentence and a half.
Right.
And most clients come to me and go, what can I possibly give in a sentence and a half that's valuable, that's going to do anything for me? And the answer is actually a lot.
Right.
I think one of the most important things to do when you're tweeting is just to think about Twitter etiquette. So, for example, you don't want to sit saying, I'm drinking a cup of coffee today, because that's not valuable.
Well, it's not interesting.
No, right.
No one cares.
I mean, maybe your mom cares, so, there's something. You can set up a Twitter account for your mom. But, if you're really trying to do this for a business-to-business application,
right,
you really want to think about who you want in your Twitter audience. The obvious answer is, I want my clients in my audience.
Right.
So then you really want to think about what my clients are interested in.
Right. And I think we've been guilty of this as well here at the Findability Group, because it's so easy to just talk about yourself all the time.
Sure.
And, and it gets really boring.
Yeah.
And so I've really tried, especially the last month, to kind of reinvent what we are pushing out there.
Oh, absolutely.
And if you're experts in your field, you know other experts, so you can push out links to other articles and books. Mix it up with things you're doing, but don't just talk about yourself 24/7.
Absolutely. Well, and I think one of the most valuable things you can do with Twitter is give a link to something that's really valuable, an article. For example, when we find a new tool, for example, Social Oomph, which is a great tool to set up tweets and post them out over the month. It's free.
Right.
When you find a tool like that, put it in your Twitter post and say, hey, just found this great new free tool. It makes tweeting so much easier.
Well, and Social Oomp's great because you can really automate your tweets.
Oh, sure.
We sit down at the beginning of every month and we write out all of our tweets for a 30-day time period.
Yeah.
And when we do that, we really try to think about what's the variety of those tweets.
Right.
Sometimes we'll retweet them if they're really high value. And we'll also try to use a keyword in our tweet. If you go to search.twitter.com, that really functions as a search engine.
Oh, yeah.
And people, I think, if you're on there all the time, you're going to look for vendors inside Twitter.
Yes.
Because it's comfortable for you.
Right. Well, and this is where it becomes really valuable. So I have a really good tool. I tweet that out to my following. Everybody checks it out. They think it's a great tool. What are they going to do? They're going to retweet it.
Right.
And so what ends up happening is you start to see it getting picked up, and people are like, oh my goodness, there's this great tool, tweet, tweet, tweet. And then when somebody's going into something like search.twitter.com, and they're looking for an internet marketing firm or internet marketing advice, what they see is a retweet of that useful tool that you've posted.
Right.
So you start really building your followers, but also start to really give your followers and your clients something valuable that they can use.
Well, and internet marketing advice is in the tweet.
Absolutely.
Because unless you're Bill Gates or Madonna, right?
Yeah.
People aren't going to necessarily know your name.
Well, I think this is a really important point for Twitter, in terms of internet marketing and where it all comes back. Everything about internet marketing starts and ends with keywords.
Right.
How are people searching and how are you going to connect with them when they're searching?
Right.
So the same, concepts that apply in the search engines, we want to be optimized for internet marketing firm Denver in the search engines, that same concept applies in Twitter.
Right.
So if somebody's looking for an internet marketing firm in search.twitter.com, you want to make sure that you've got internet marketing firm Denver in your tweet post.
Right. So be mindful when you're writing out your tweets. Twitter can absolutely be used for business. And we hope this tip has been helpful, and we'll see you next time on Findability Tips.
Woo!